You don't become confident because life finally proves something to you. Life never works that way. Confidence is not a reward handed to you after success shows up. It is a decision you make before the evidence appears, long before results are visible, before recognition arrives, before anyone applauds. The winning individual has already decided who they are. Identity always comes first. The world only reflects what you consistently assume about yourself. Most people wait. They wait for permission. They wait for certainty. They wait for the moment when fear disappears. But that moment never comes. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is simple. Winners act from identity, not circumstance. They don't ask, can I? They declare, this is who I am. And from that declaration, behavior changes automatically. Standards rise, choices sharpen, hesitation fades. When you see yourself as someone who wins, you stop negotiating with doubt. You stop explaining yourself. You stop shrinking your goals to match your current situation. You carry yourself differently. Your posture changes. Your voice changes. Your decisions become faster and cleaner. Not because you are arrogant, but because you are aligned. You are no longer trying to become someone else. You are acting in harmony with the person you've already decided to be. This is where most people misunderstand success. They believe identity follows achievement. In truth, achievement follows identity. The inner image always dictates the outer result. When you identify as disciplined, you don't debate whether to show up. You show up. When you identify as capable, you don't wait for confidence. You act with it. When you identify as a winner, you don't fear setbacks. You expect progress over time. Acting as if you're winning is not pretending. It's not delusion. It's alignment with a future you have already accepted as inevitable. You are rehearsing reality before it fully materializes. Every great achievement began this way, with a person who refused to let current conditions define their self-image. Understand this deeply. The world does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your assumptions. If you assume you are behind, you behave like someone chasing. If you assume you are chosen, prepared, and capable, you behave like someone leading. And leadership attracts opportunity, momentum, and support. The moment you stop asking for proof is the moment proof begins to form. Because once identity is set, action becomes consistent. And once action becomes consistent, results have no choice but to follow. You don't rise to the level of your hopes. You fall or rise to the level of who you believe you are. Decide that first, and everything else will align. Most people don't realize that their entire life is being shaped by a quiet, invisible force working in the background of every decision they make. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not even circumstance. It's assumption. What you assume to be true about yourself and about life quietly dictates how you move, how you speak, how long you persist, and how much courage you allow yourself to use. Long before results appear, assumption has already chosen the outcome. When you assume struggle, you hesitate, you second guess, you move carefully, hoping not to lose. But when you assume success, something remarkable happens. Your actions become decisive. You stop asking for approval. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. Acting as if you are winning strips uncertainty out of your behavior. Your body, your voice, your timing all begin to reflect quiet certainty. And that certainty is felt by others before a single word is spoken. Assumption is not wishful thinking. It is a mental position. It is the posture of the mind. Two people can face the same obstacle. One assumes it will defeat them. The other assumes it will strengthen them. The obstacle doesn't change. The assumption does. And because assumption controls response, it ultimately controls the result. This is why some people seem to attract opportunity while others repel it without knowing why. Opportunity responds to those who move as if they belong in the room. When you assume you belong, you don't apologize for your presence. You speak clearly. You act promptly. You claim responsibility. Life meets that certainty with doors opening in ways logic alone cannot explain. The mind is always searching for confirmation of what it already believes. If you assume you are behind, you will find proof everywhere. If you assume you are progressing, even setbacks become evidence that you are refining, not failing, acting as if you are winning. Train your mind to interpret challenges as part of forward motion rather than signs to retreat. Here is the critical shift. When success is assumed, fear loses its authority. Fear feeds on uncertainty. Remove uncertainty, and fear becomes background noise. You still feel it, but it no longer dictates your behavior. Your actions begin to carry a calm intensity, the kind that doesn't rush, doesn't panic, and doesn't quit. This assumption does not guarantee instant results. What it guarantees is alignment, and alignment produces momentum. Momentum produces confidence. Confidence produces consistent action, and consistent action over time produces outcomes that look miraculous to those who never change their assumptions. You don't need to know exactly how it will work. You only need to decide that it will. Once that decision is made, every step you take begins moving in the direction of victory. Assume success, and your life will start organizing itself around that belief. Most people are waiting for a feeling that never arrives. They believe confidence will appear first, and then action will become easy. But confidence doesn't lead action. Action creates confidence. The reason so many remain stuck is not because they lack ability, but because they demand proof before movement. And proof is something life only gives to those who are already moving. When you act as if you are winning, you stop negotiating with hesitation. You stop asking yourself if you're ready, if the timing is right, if you might fail. You move anyway, not recklessly, but deliberately. Each action, no matter how small, sends a message to the mind that you are capable, and the mind responds by strength. Hinting belief. This is how confidence is built, step by step, through motion, not thought. Waiting for certainty is a subtle form of fear. It disguises itself as preparation, planning, or patience, but beneath it lies avoidance. Those who understand this refuse to wait. They understand that clarity comes from engagement, not contemplation. When you step forward without guarantees, you begin to see what works, what doesn't, and what needs refining. Momentum replaces doubt. Consider how belief grows. It doesn't grow from standing still and imagining success. It grows from experience. Every time you act despite uncertainty, you expand your internal limits. What once felt uncomfortable becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes familiar. Confidence is simply familiarity with forward motion. This is why decisive action changes everything. Decisiveness signals leadership, to your own mind first, and then to the world. When you act quickly and adjust along the way, you communicate certainty, even if you don't yet have all the answers. Life responds to decisiveness because decisiveness creates direction. Direction creates movement. Movement creates results. Acting as if you're winning does not mean you will never make mistakes. It means mistakes no longer stop you. Failure loses its emotional charge when action becomes your standard. You no longer measure yourself by outcomes alone, but by participation. You show up fully, you engage fully, and in that engagement, fear begins to dissolve. The individual who waits for proof stays in the same place, watching opportunities pass by. The individual who acts without proof creates proof through action. This is not optimism, it's strategy. Action turns uncertainty into information. Information turns into refinement. Refinement turns into mastery. Confidence, then, is not something you seek. It is something you earn through consistent movement. Every action taken without permission strengthens self-trust, and self-trust is the foundation of all success. Once you trust yourself to move, to adapt, and to persist, no external validation is required. Take the step before you feel ready. Move before you feel certain. Let action do what thinking never can. Confidence will meet you in motion. Most people believe discipline is something you force yourself into when motivation disappears. They see it as restriction, as pressure, as sacrifice. But discipline, when understood correctly, is none of those things. Discipline is simply the natural behavior of a person who expects to win. It is not punishment. It is alignment. When you act as if you're always winning, discipline stops feeling heavy and starts feeling necessary. Think about this carefully. You don't negotiate with habits that match your identity. You don't argue with yourself about showing up for something you already believe in. The struggle people feel around discipline comes from a divided mind, wanting success but identifying with comfort. When your identity shifts, discipline becomes automatic. It is no longer a fight. It is a standard. Those who expect to win prepare differently. They don't wait to feel inspired to train their skills, sharpen their thinking, or refine their habits. They understand that preparation is a form of respect for the opportunity they are moving toward. Acting as if you are winning means behaving as someone who